Hi everybody, my name is Pascal and I'm a data scientist with a PhD in mathematics. Although data science is my 9 to 5, I spend most of my time outside that as the host of my podcast Everything Goes with Pascal. Recently, I got a new job, and before I start the new job, I decided to take some time off. And one of the reasons for doing that was to see what it might feel like doing podcasts full time. It took me a couple of days to get into the groove of things, but I think I've managed to get there. As a temporary full-time podcaster, one of my jobs was to clean out my Notion board. While doing that, I realized that making a solo episode introducing myself has been on the backlog for a while. I've been really excited to make this episode, but the priority has been pretty low because my main focus has been on conducting best possible conversations with the guests. So I thought now might be a good time to take this item off the list, and I thought it would be cool to do it in the format of Day in the Life of. Without further ado, here's my day as a full-time podcaster. Good morning, guys. My morning hasn't changed much from when I was working at my last job. I get up around 6:45 a.m. and take a cold shower. This is something I got into after hearing about Wim Hof. I debate why I have to do this every morning for about 5 minutes, but I know it makes me feel great when I step out of it. After my cold shower, I go for a quick walk. I am so lucky to live near this beautiful area. When I'm back from my walk, I check my social media and catch up on some YouTube videos before the workday begins. I've been interested in the impact of social media on mental health and productivity for a while, and I've tried several approaches to deal with social media, including social media detoxing. The approach that worked best for me so far is what Lex Fridman does. He says detoxing is too easy and does not require self-discipline, and you lose out on so many good things social media can offer. So instead, he restricts his usage of social media. He says he only goes on Instagram a couple of times a day. By the way, if you haven't heard of Lex Fridman before, he's a robotics researcher at MIT, and he's also a podcaster. If you're interested in long-form conversations about science or politics, you should check him out. He was one of my inspirations for starting my podcast. It's about 8:20 now. I'll go for a 10-minute meditation and get some admin things done, like checking my emails and so on, before starting work at 9 a.m. I'll check in again then. For my meditation practice, I've been following this app called Waking Up. It's an app created by Sam Harris, an American philosopher and neuroscientist. The main theme of the app is mindfulness, and I like that it gives you actions to stay mindful between the meditation sessions. I've been using it for over a year now, and I can't recommend this app enough. You do have to pay for the subscription, but as a member, I can hand out 1 month free trials. So if this interests you, do flick me a message on Instagram or leave a comment under my YouTube video. It's just past 9 a.m., so I'm ready to start working on my podcast. Looking at my Notion board, I want to start editing my next episode. I release an episode every Tuesday, so today seems like a good day to get started on that. I'll work on that a little bit for now, and I'll check in back with you after. I've kept my recording and editing processes pretty simple. For recording, I just started using PodTrack P4. It's a portable device you can plug your microphones into to record. For my purpose, I need to be flexible in where I record my podcast, so this device has been really handy. I got this secondhand for about $200, and I find them easy to use. I think it can be a great option for those who are just starting out. I also recently found out that Emma Chamberlain also uses PodTrack P4. So, I feel like that's saying something too, right? Speaking of Emma, if you're also a fan of hers, you might have noticed already that the title of my podcast was inspired by her podcast, Anything Goes with Emma Chamberlain. For editing, I use Audacity for audio processing and DaVinci Resolve for video editing. They are both free and pretty powerful tools. As I have mentioned, I keep my editing to a minimum. This was a conscious decision because I wanted my podcast to reflect the podcasts I enjoy listening to. Some of my favorites are the long-form conversational podcasts like the Lex Fridman podcast, This Past Weekend with Thea Vaughn, the Joe Rogan Experience, and Huberman Lab. I think it's pretty cool to hear people unedited when most of other contents I consume outside it is highly curated and edited. I think even the ums and ahs say something about that person too. So I find this all pretty interesting. Hi everyone, it's just past 11 a.m. and I'm happy to say that I've made a pretty good progress on the next episode. This episode is with Jessica Chang, who's a PhD student and an entrepreneur, and she's working on environmentally sustainable packaging options using mycelium. She was such a kind and fascinating guest, and the conversation we had was really insightful and fun. So if you enjoy long-form conversations like this, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel or whichever platform you listen to your podcast on. For now, I'll just do a little bit of preparation for the guest I'm seeing next week, and I'll talk to you guys again after lunch. As part of the interview preparation, I start a Google Doc about them and I think about all the questions I want to ask them. Most of the time, this is a fairly quick process because if they were invited on the show, I was interested in them anyway, so I naturally have a lot of questions. This process just helps to add some context to those questions. It might be worth pointing out that most often I don't end up asking most of the questions because I usually just let the conversations flow its natural course. So these questions serve more as a guideline. After that, I browse the internet to see if I can find their backgrounds online. This may be their LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or even news articles. This is my attempt at getting a good overview about them, so I have some good starting points for the conversation. The whole process takes about 6 hours, and honestly, I find this process really exciting. I found that everyone has fascinating stories to tell, whether that is in the form of experiences, expertise, or passions. And I see these interviews as a platform to hear and appreciate those stories. I honestly feel honored and grateful whenever I get to have someone I find interesting on the show, so I try to take full advantage of that. I started the podcast by interviewing my close friends, and I feel like I've already come a long way. I've made many friends I wouldn't have made otherwise, and I've talked to very fascinating people. These days, I've been having a lot of guests on from the data science space I'm in, but as the title of my podcast suggests, everything goes. My hope is to connect with more folks from the diverse spaces, like the wider science space, comedy space, music space, and fashion space. So if you're a content creator or entrepreneur in one of these areas and beyond, and are based in Tamaki Makaurau, Aotearoa, or Auckland, New Zealand, please do reach out. Let's make something happen. Welcome back everyone. It's just after 2 p.m. and I'm back. I had to take a little bit of a longer lunch break because I had a personal errand to run. But now I'm back and I'm ready to start working on my podcast Everything Goes with Pascal again. The plan for this afternoon is to work on this short video that I've been wanting to make for a while. And also, I'm going to think about the content strategy a little bit as well. So far, I've been using Instagram as the main platform to promote the podcast, but my podcast being a long-form conversational podcast, I feel like it might make more sense to be more active on YouTube and LinkedIn. Well, I have been for the last a month or so, and I think there are some opportunities for me there. I'll work on that a little bit and catch up with you after. Hi everyone, it's just past 4 p.m. I'm checking back in again with you to let you know that I'm almost done with the video and I have a pretty good idea on my content strategy going forward too. In summary, so far I've just been mainly focusing on content on Instagram, but I think I'll be moving away from that a little bit and focus more on the LinkedIn and YouTube side of things. Having said that though, I still think Instagram is a great way to connect with your audience and other creators too. So if anyone wants to follow me on Instagram, the username is @everythinggoeswithpascal. From here, I'll probably take a quick 20-minute break with some fruit and maybe watching some YouTube video like DevDoc, and I'll aim to finish editing the video that I've been working on, as well as taking off some action points for the new content strategy. There should be enough work to take me to 6 p.m, at which point I'll probably finish for the day and maybe go for a walk outside. Cool, I think I'll go do that now and I'll check in back with you around 6. Okay guys, just checking in here just after 6:30 p.m. I finished editing the video, so that should go live on Instagram tomorrow morning. And I also worked on following the new content strategy for a bit. It has been a pretty productive day, ticking off some of the items that has been in the backlog for a while. And it was pretty fun documenting the whole process too. It was my first time doing so, and I enjoyed it. And I hope you did too. But I think that's enough work for today. I'm going to log off for now. For the remainder of the evening, I'm going to be preparing for dinner, as well as going to a comedy gig with a friend later on. I'm going to try editing this video on the weekend, so hopefully you guys are seeing this early next week. Thank you so much guys for listening or watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!